Hey guys, welcome back. So this is going to be a little weird because right next to the camera over here, I have my other phone, which I'm going to run an Instagram live stream. I'm going to be making another one of these parts. This bar is a little bit too long, but this is the R2-D2 CPU arm. When he needs to talk to the city central computer or other droid things, this thing pops down and talks to the other stuff. This is my test casting that I made. This is just plain smooth cast 65D resin. You're probably going to hear me repeat a lot of this stuff because I'm going to turn on the live feed, and if people ask me questions, I will be answering them. But we are going to make one that is gray with cold cast aluminum finish, and then we're probably going to touch that up with all clad, but right now we're just going to make a casting, so I figured may as well turn on the camera. Let me get the live stream started here. It's going to be interesting to do. So I put it close to here, so maybe it looks like I'm looking at the camera. I'm not sure. I am now live on the other camera, so interesting. So I do need to fasten this together. All right, so here goes the part where I talk to everybody. This is super weird. Alright, everybody's popping online here. I think my old phone has a wider camera than my new phone. I'm not sure. But I set up the same thing the other day, and it was like I could only see like this much, and in my other phone I can see way out here, and it's vertical. Interesting. Hello everybody. Alright, so ooh, I'm getting a bunch of hearts are popping up. This is awesome. The color on my new phone looks way better than the color on my old phone. That is for sure. So the monitor reads better. I hope I don't have it too far away so I can read comments. All right, so here we go. I'm going to be casting these parts. So the first thing I've got to do is, since this has this metal rod that goes all the way through, in the molds I have a piece of metal like this that seats into the mold inside a little hole. And so when I pour the resin, I can pull this metal rod out, and then I have the appropriate size hole already made in my part. But what I've got to do is, before I mold it, I have to put some wax on this guy here. So I'm getting questions over here, so let's look. Show. I'm going to scroll down because I missed some stuff here. Sarvari Makeup. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. Hello. Flatten02. Hello. Freakazoid 2013 show. I'm not sure. I'm just going to say show what I'm doing. I'm not sure what that is. Hello again from Germany. Hello. All right. So, man, it's wow, from Iran. That's awesome. It's neat because if I do this and it's not too late at night, I get a lot of viewers from all over the place. So I almost did the wrong thing here. I did not want to open this because this is what happens when I'm looking at a camera instead of looking at what I'm doing. Hello from Brazil. All right. So I'm using Sonite wax, which is this stuff here, Sonite wax, and I'm going to put a little bit of this on the metal pipe here, the metal rod, and this will keep it from sticking to the resin. A little coating of wax. So I've got one in this part. I'll move this out of the way for a moment. And now this part has a similar setup. I hope I brought all the parts in here because I was making stuff earlier and I don't know if I did. We'll find out. So I've got this one, and I've got a longer rod which looks like this. This goes in this other tall mold over here. All are artists. So yeah, I'm adding the Sonite wax to this one as well. This will just help keep it from sticking for anybody who's just tuning in. So this is just a coating of mold release. All right, so that goes in there. Now this is going to drop all the way down into this mold, and there's one of those little holes way down at the bottom. So oops, I'll insert this. My whole mold just sunk down in there. That's not what I want it to do. So I insert this into the mold. Now I have to wiggle my mold back up because my mold box slipped a little tiny bit. Let me flip this over. We'll jostle it back down. There we go. So I keep that flat. So now this rod sticks up, and what's going to happen is that this cap will basically go down over this. So when I fill this with resin, it's going to go up basically to the top, and then this little guy is going to squish down and squish out the excess resin out of the top and make an indentation on the top side of the part, or I should say the bottom. So this part will be indented, and if I do it right, it'll push the bubbles out as I go. So the last one got a few bubbles, but it was a test run. So that basically slides down here and it plugs into the rest of the mold, like so. And then when it's done, I take it out, and the piece should, if I did it correctly, have a metal rod through it. So that's kind of the setup. Totally exciting. So I got to check, make sure that my seam line is all good, and it is. So this mold, instead of molding this in two parts, what I did is molded a one-piece mold, and then I cut a zigzaggy line down the side. Let me see, I'm getting questions here. Wax it good, boy. Yep, that's right. Infan, that's what I am making another one of these R2-D2 CPU arms, which comes out, and I'm going to make this one in gray with a metal coating. It's called cold cast resin. So what it is I'm using actual aluminum powder in the mold, and then I'm going to pour gray resin behind it, and then it will, when you take it out of the mold, it should have a metal surface. I'm still going to paint it on top of that, but I want to have something embedded in the surface so that if anything gets chipped or scratched, it'll still look metal. You're all stop. Indentation. Yes, indentation. That's the correct term here. All right, so I got to find the other metal rod, which is here, the third one, and I'm using some of this sonite wax and just a coating on the rod, just make sure it doesn't stick. There we go. Party time. Now, get this thing closed up. A little chunk of wax fell on my mold. I don't need that. So move this out of the way. Now this little guy is going to go back in the mold like so, and then I will close it up. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this aluminum powder that I have here. It's actual aluminum. And hello again, Great Mills, Maryland. Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Thank you. I forgot that that's this weekend. It's a long weekend. Oh yeah, hey, my name is pronounced like Irufan. I hope I'm saying that right. So, alright, aluminum powder here. And I'm just going to pour some in the mold. Oof, not that much. Typically I can brush it in. Let me go grab another brush really quick, so I can do it not so messy. I'll be back in just a moment. I'm on my way, I'm coming back. Where's my good brush? Here we go, this is a good one. Alright, so I'm going to use this, basically it's a little makeup brush. It's really soft, and then these work really well. And because the silicone kind of has a little bit of a, it's not sticky necessarily, but it'll grab stuff on the surface. So if I coat the inside of the mold with this stuff, it'll just pretty much stick to the silicone really easy. So basically I'm going to tap this all in, brush it into the mold real nice. Probably not good to breathe this, and I think I just did. Okay, I think I am thinking of printing utility arm. Yeah, that's what I did. I printed the first one, which I took in the house actually. But do I have any of the parts of it out here? Yeah, I printed the first one, and then I molded it, and it came out real nice. So what I'm going to do is, because this is there's still quite a bit of powder in here, I'm just going to flip the mold over, just close it up, flip it over. Sorry, this is in the way. And transfer the loose powder to the other side. Get that spread around like so. I'm going to shake it back and forth a little bit here. Sometimes just doing that will distribute it really well. Now, a little air blower like you'd use for a camera, or if you have a compressor, that works great, but a little air blower like for a camera works really well for this. And I have one. Go grab it in a second. I should have had all this in here to start with, but I didn't. So we're gonna have to make do, people. And for everybody that's on my Instagram, I am also recording this on my other phone here for YouTube, so it will be posted permanently. That's the one bummer about Instagram, is that it doesn't stay permanent. I think I can download from Instagram and grab my video when I'm done, but I never do, so it is a bummer. Alright, so now I've got my other little mold. Gonna do the same thing. A little bit of aluminum powder in here for good measure. Got quite a lot, actually. Dump the excess back in the pot because this stuff is not cheap. Seems like a decent amount. Now, one good thing about using a powder like this, whether it's aluminum powder or baby powder or anything, is that it helps the resin stick to the sides of the mold, like find all the crevices, because it has works with the surface tension of the resin, which is nice. What's your worst glue accident? Ooh, that's a good question. Let's see. Worst glue accident. Yeah, an accident that involves me. Let's see. I've glued my fingers up pretty good a few times. I've burned myself with hot glue a lot of times. Like, I've had some pretty bad hot glue burns. If I'm trying to think if I've ever messed anything up. I have spilled glue before, but it was a sucky thing to clean up, but I was able to clean it up, so I guess it wasn't really that bad. Hang on one second. I'm gonna go grab my little blower tool here, and I'll be right back. Coming back. Alright, here we go. So, this is like a little camera blower. Squeeze blower. Todd Rex! Hey bro, what's going on? So, a little camera blower here will blast out some of the excess aluminum powder out of the mold. Now, I could use my compressor, but it's a little bit overkill for this, so we're just going to use this little guy. Now, I've got my box here. This kind of just holds everything nice and snug and steady, and keeps the mold together real easy, and doesn't hopefully doesn't allow it to get deformed. But before I do this, I'm skipping a step. So I'm going to open this up. I almost forgot to put the metal rod back in. So I get this metal rod lined up real nice. I'm going to put it on the other side. It's funny because the metal rod, now that I have stripped out all the, I put in the aluminum powder, the metal rod does not want to grip to the silicone like it usually does. So there we go. Metal rod is in place. The mold is somewhat snug. So basically I'm going to close this up, and I'm just going to tape it shut for now. I am going to actually make this box so that it pins together and is reusable. So I don't have to keep doing tape on these dumb things. So I'm 13 minutes in. Holy cow. I've been goofing around too much. Alright, so we'll close this up. Add tape. A few passes here. Now, this whole box, what's good about this is that it won't let me over tighten the molds, because if you over tighten it, sometimes it can deform the part that's inside, and you don't want to deform your part, you know what I'm saying. So, using some of my tape here. Should be using electrical tape because it's cheaper than this stuff. Now this one's ready. Make sure everything is in place. Cool. This one's super easy and ready to go. we'll get the metal powder, and we are going to put a little bit in this other portion of the mold. Now this one's gonna be a little trickier because the mold is so deep that getting the powder everywhere and moving around efficiently might be tricky. So try to get it on all the surfaces as best I can. I don't want to overdo this because sometimes if you get too much powder in the details, it won't let the resin accumulate properly, and then everybody will be sad. We don't want anybody to be sad. Rubber bands. Yeah, rubber bands are pretty good, and I've got a bunch of them, but the ones I have are like these Harbor Freight crappy rubber bands, and they suck really bad. Usually, my old batch rubber bands work great. But I'm not going to use rubber bands in the future. I'm just going to, it'll be a little pinned up thing. I'm going to slap it together, and it'll be perfect. It's going to work great. You'll see, Todd. Don't give me a hard time. So, all right. So I've got some, almost enough aluminum powder in there. I see a couple spots that could use a little boost. So I'm going to brush it around a little more. And seems okay. Hoping I don't have any weird spots in here. No. There we go. All right, let's close this up so I don't spill it everywhere. Bum, 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 bum. Have to have a sip of coffee first, so that'll be good. Awesome. All right. So it's weird because I don't know if anybody is here before. I am also talking to another camera at the same time, trying to make something for the YouTube because I've been slacking on putting up content. So time for some gloves. There is quite a big difference in my camera, color-wise. I didn't realize how much nicer my new camera is. That's good. All right. So this is in here. This little mold slips down. I need to do something with the bottom so that it does not do that anymore. It's got about 4 millimeters of travel that it shouldn't have. So I know that because I made one yesterday that probably 11 ounces of resin is just about perfect in here, but I'm gonna go ahead and make 12 because I'm wild. So I am going to pour some part B. I'm gonna go all the way up to the 6. And then I'm going to put in some tint. So strong. This is, it obviously is a well-used bottle. Yo quiero un C-3PO. McMaster Robots! Dude, look what I'm working on. Look, okay, hold on. McMaster Robots. Mr. Michael McMaster. Check it out, brosif. I am making all metal ones now with the aluminum powder and casting it in gray resin. So I'm tinting the resin right now. That should be a good amount. And that way the gray resin will back the metal finish, and then it's going to get a metal paint job on top of that so that it'll look metal, but if it gets scuffed at all, there'll be some metal underneath too, and it'll have a gray finish, so it'll hide the what do they say, hide the crimes, right? So it should be good. And if I can find my popsicle stick, my stir stick, I'm going to stir in some of this tint here, get this mixed up. Ta-da. Oh yeah, McMaster, check this out. This stuff is very sturdy. I was doing drop tests with this and none of it broke, which is freaking awesome. So Natalie was going to videotape it, but I said you better not, because the second you videotape it, it's going to break. So, all right, let's get this thing set up here. Gross. Let's add the rest of the 12 ounces. The other 6. Keep going. It's a lot of resin. There we go. Oh, close enough for government work, as they say. So, I'm going to mix this quickly because this much resin will get hot really fast and it's going to kick really quickly if I let it heat up too much. I want to pour this before too long. So the most fiddly part is the probe, which is the tip. Ta-da! Which goes in here. Get this sucker filled up. Bloop. Overfilled. And then we got this part, which takes the most resin. Now I'm going to fill it about halfway. Then I'm going to give it a light roto casting, which hopefully will help prevent any bubbles on the ridges. If I'm not crazy. And that should be a good start. And then I will fill it the rest of the way up. Slowly, almost to the top. And then we have this top piece. I'm going to let some of these bubbles rise here. And then I'll fill the end cap. And do the same thing. I'm going to roll this around a little bit in case I got too much metal powder. Hopefully this will help disperse it a little. I'm going to fill this one up to the top. Add a little more to this guy. Not that it needs it, but it'll help the bubbles go over the edge when I push the top down. So there's a cap that makes our end part here. And this goes real gently down. And really slowly push this in. And this is going to squish the resin out. There's no bleeders. It's going to squish it out of the sides. And it will create the top shape. And if I let it sit long enough, then it should prevent the bubbles. And this guy here, so I got a little bit of resin left. I made 12 ounces. These parts take just a hair over 10 ounces. I made 10 ounces the other day, and it was just a tiny bit under what I needed. Just a little, I mean, barely. So I'm gonna try to knock this around a little bit and hopefully get any bubbles out of the weird spots. I should have rotocast this one too. A little bit of a rotational casting at the beginning would help this one not have any bubbles. But if we need to, I can make some more of these. I got plenty of resin on hand right now, so and because these are pretty dense and a lot of material, it should kick off pretty quickly. And hopefully we can hang around and demold this thing. Now this would be a good time for a pressure pot, which I don't have on hand, but should be good. McMaster, you still there? I have only 4 people watching because everybody's super bored. Let's see, Stockholm, Sweden tuned in. Hello from Sweden. All right. I don't know if you're still here. Hopefully you didn't leave already. Let me look and see. Yeah, all right. So tell me, I don't know if I've asked you this before. The only thing I know how to say in Swedish, varför skrattar du min svenska så dålig? I don't know if I probably butchered that, but if I did, it still will make sense. Varför skrattar du min svenska så dålig? I'm probably saying that wrong. And now everybody's watching me on YouTube is going to have to stick it out through this. So all the people who are watching on YouTube right now, on my other camera, for those of you just tuning in, I am recording this as I do a live feed to Instagram so that I can have both saved. So it's going to be super exciting for the next few minutes while I wait for the resin to cure in these molds. And hopefully everything comes out real good. Little stuff I can patch or fix if I need to, but I'm hoping that I don't have to do that. So this little guy here is already kicking off, which is the end cap. That one is already kicked, which means these will kick any moment now. They're probably already kicking inside. This one's going off. I can see it turning gray. So this resin is clear when you pour it, and it turns white when it cures. Now, I mixed this with some black pigment. You can see, actually, here's the cup. It is kicked off in the cup. So, I'll give it a little bit, but should be able to demold these pretty quickly. Yeah, I have no idea what you tried to say. Nice. No idea whatsoever. I was working the last few days with a guy from Sweden, and he knew it. Siari. Hopefully I'm saying it. Hi! Hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. I don't know. This is interesting, the difference. I've said this before, but I'm kind of shocked at how different my cameras look here. This one is super clear. Is that some kind of smooth-on resin? Yes, it is. Smoothcast 65D, which I know looks backwards on the camera. This is the stuff I've been using to rotocast the those IG88 heads, and it's what I'll be using to do. I'm doing a couple more of these droid heads soon, and I will be using that resin for the rotocasting. It should be good. So yeah, these are kicking off. I can't wait to demold them and show everybody and see how they came out. Now with this aluminum powder, it coats the surface and it basically sticks to everything. If you hit it with a little tiny bit of triple-aught or quadruple-aught steel wool, it'll just polish the aluminum just enough so it looks kind of shiny. What I'm out downtown and just finished a bunch of beer and board games. How's it going there? It's going. I am casting up another set of parts. If you were here yesterday, which I think you were, these are the parts that I cast last night. This is sort of a test just to see how it would come out. This stick is way too long. It shouldn't be nearly that long, but these are resin castings of a 3D printed part that I made. I was about a ½ ounce shy of enough resin, so the end cap here and here didn't quite fill up all the way. So I mixed an extra little bit on this casting. And what I should have done that I didn't do is, see how much is wasted? There's kind of a lot of resin in here still. I should have had another mold nearby so that I could pour up some other parts. That's what I typically do. But I started this live feed and I didn't think about that. So awesome. I don't know, you guys can. I have my dry erase board back here that's supposed to get hung up. I just realized that I can see that in my YouTube video. But I don't think there's anything on there that's not supposed to be seen at the moment, so it's fine. At least not in the camera. What can we see there? Now I'm curious. There's when I did the C-3PO suit for Adam Savage, I priced out all the parts. I wrote everything down for myself so I could make sure I was not forgetting anything, and I think the big list is over there on that board. Let's see, who else is here today? We've got 5 people. Nobody wants to hang out because it's Friday, 2:30 in the afternoon. Once this is set up, I got to demold this, and I have to make a second one, possibly a third one, depending on how this comes out. Hopefully it comes out real nice, and we don't have to do that, but you never know until you see the part finished. So it could be a surprise. This little guy didn't have much of the thin stuff. It was really hot. What are you making? So Farrell's Props. I am making another one of these R2-D2 CPU arms. And this is my test casting that I did yesterday. The very first one out of the mold. And so in here are new ones that hopefully will come out real nice. Probably we can demold this part already. These other guys need to sit a little bit longer. This one should probably sit longer, but it'll be okay. Here's a question: what C-3PO's eye lens made out of? C-3PO's eye lens, they're a little different from film to film. What I use is this stuff. I've got a whole big sheet of it right here. It is, it's like the stuff they put over fluorescent lights that goes in the ceiling. So you can actually see where I've cut out 3PO eyes. but here's a texture. I don't know if it shows up on the camera. It's but this is a light diffuser for fluorescent lenses, fluorescent light bulbs. Oof, like overhead lights. That's what I use for mine. It looks pretty accurate. And some of the screen used suits have basically, it looks just like that stuff, but some of them are a little different material, and I haven't quite figured it out. It almost looks like the inside of a bike reflector on some of the early suits. I found some things that look really close, but I haven't quite nailed it down yet. But this stuff looks totally fine, and even in close-ups, it looks very close to screen accurate. All right, so here is the first little part, and it has its little aluminum finish. Let's see if I can buff this down with something. I don't have any steel wool nearby, but I can probably hit it with a paper towel. If I give it some pressure, it'll probably still work. So, do I have a paper towel around? I don't. I always have paper towels in my pockets because I'm weird. See? Every time I dry my hands with a paper towel, I just save the paper towel. So, let's see if this will work. If I give it some pressure here. A little bit. It really needs to have some steel wool, but it gives it a little bit of metal reflectivity. And once I hit this with some paint and really fill in that surface, it's going to shine real nice. So here's that little pin that I was talking about that I waxed. You see it just pulls right out. Now I have a pre-made hole in the end. So here is my 3D printed part that I cast it from, and here's the resin copy. And it came out good. There's one little bubble here and a tiny little bubble here that I think is fixable. So that is good. Did I see the cardboard C3PO head? I am not sure. I'll have to look and see. I'm trying to think if I've seen one. I've seen a couple that people have done out of Pepicura. Did you use Pepicura files to make yours, your cardboard one? I have seen a few cardboard C3PO builds, so I may have seen yours, but I'm not positive. All right, so like I said, I'm giving this a buff with a paper towel, which isn't really the proper way to buff this down. But it does give it a little bit of a shine there. It's not shiny yet. It'll be shinier with some steel wool. Let me look at it and see. Looks really clean though, which is great. Again, the 3D printed part, which is hollow on the bottom because I didn't need it. And then the resin part, and I need to give the bottom a little sanding. Should be good. Put those to the side. Simplified Pepicura, nice. I got a file and simplified it a lot. Yeah, Pepicura is great. If you can 3D model stuff, Pepicura is one of the most handy things ever.